Hey guys, Jedi Silver here, Ethan, and today I am reviewing a couple of syllogisms from this dumb thing. I saw this on a Reddit post, but it makes me mad, so I'm going to talk about it. So it's from this thing called Ideas Sleep Furiously. This is a reference to Noam Chomsky's famous semantically meaningless yet linguistically nothing wrong with linguistically valid, I guess. Um, Saying that a colorless green ideas sleep furiously, because that makes no sense in actuality, but it is a sentence that you can say that is 100% grammatically okay. Um, Anyways, so this is ideology literally makes people illogical. Can you spot which arguments are valid? And so the purpose of this is this idea that ideology, and however they define it, most people already know what it means, but basically, having an ideology that you subscribe to, an overarching system of beliefs, uh, literally makes people illogical. So there is a very large causal relationship here that ideology makes people illogical. Um, and so, first of all, before we even get into this, there's this idea that it makes people illogical, whereas most people all are already very, very illogical. And as we're going to see down below, it's going to make it's going to be, people are going to be illogical with these because these are classic tricks that unless you've taken a symbolic logic class before, you're going to mess up because you just don't think that way. And so people already are pretty illogical, and people are also very ideological. So maybe that's a wider thing, but I don't know if you can make a causal claim from this. But let's go ahead and get into. They have three kind of examples that they give. Three arguments. They want me to think about whether the conclusions follow from the given premises. So this first one's pretty easy. All drugs that are dangerous should be illegal. Marijuana is a drug that is dangerous. Therefore, marijuana should be illegal. This is a pretty simple universal instantiation problem, right? We have a universal qualifier. All drugs that are dangerous should be illegal. Marijuana is one of these, so therefore it falls under this category, and therefore it should be illegal. Yes, that is a sound argument, or it's a valid argument. Is it sound? Well, I think both of these premises have problems. The first one is that all drugs that are dangerous should be illegal. Is that true? I mean, what do you mean by dangerous, right? Like, is coffee dangerous, right? Like, probably not, right? But it keeps people up, like, what is your level of danger there? Um, as well as most forms of medication are dangerous, yet those aren't illegal. Tobacco is dangerous, and yet that isn't illegal in most forms. So illegal it definitely seems to be like a complete and total ban on something. I think most people would disagree with that statement on face value. Um, so I think that's one big problem. But of course, we're not judging that here. We're just talking about whether or not these are sound. But I want to evaluate both, or whether they're valid, not sound. Sorry, whether or not these arguments are valid. But I'm going to be talking about soundness and validity because most people can't separate those two. Okay, marijuana is a drug that is dangerous. That is another thing that's like, is it? Not really. Not as much. Like, marijuana is probably not as dangerous as most other drugs. Um, is marijuana more dangerous than tobacco? I mean, probably not. Tobacco gives people a lot of cancer and stuff. Marijuana can as well, but from what the studies I've seen, it seems that marijuana is less likely to give people cancer, and marijuana also has a number of health benefits where tobacco really does not. And besides, there are drugs that are much more dangerous than marijuana that are currently legal in medicinal situations. So marijuana maybe should be legal in medicinal situations as well. Of course, this is just three sentences, so we can't really get into that. But this is a pretty bad argument, not in terms of logical structure, but just because these two premises, both of which have very serious flaws. Let's go on to two. So this is sound, but not a good argument. Judge Wilson believes that if a living thing is not a person, then one has the right to end its life. Okay, so good start off, right? I think this is probably, maybe not sound, but people hear that and they're like, they'll agree. Sure, then one has a right to end its life. I don't know if, like, do I have a right to kill bugs? Do I have a right to kill dogs? Right? Do I have a right to kill cats? right? Like, could I come over and kill your cat just because it's not a person? This is a pretty shit argument. But sure, we'll take it. She also believes that a fetus is a person. Okay, so this has nothing to do with this one, because this is about if a living thing is not a person, then one has the right to end its life, right? And so she believes a fetus is a person. So we don't know what Judge Wilson believes about things that are actually people, right? This isn't even getting on. You've already read this, or you know, but therefore Judge Wilson concludes that no one has the right to end the life of a fetus. This is not a valid argument. Is it a sound argument? Maybe. But it's certainly not a valid one, because we don't know what she thinks about. See, this first thing would have to read that Judge Wilson believes that if a living thing is a person, then one cannot then no one has the right to end its life. That's not what this first thing says. So therefore this doesn't follow. So it's not valid. Therefore it can't be sound. Yeah, but this first one is another really just terrible thing. And so whenever you're exposing this, of course, to the average person, ideology doesn't really matter. It's the fact that people will hear this and they won't think about this logically. They'll think about it in just like a commonsensical way, which common sense is not very logical. 3, all white people have white privilege. Okay, so this is another kind of universal claim, much like all drugs that are dangerous should be legal. So all white people have white privilege. So if you're a white, you have white privilege. Jack is a white, disabled, homeless, war veteran. Therefore, Jack has white privilege. So this one, I think it really hinges upon what you call white privilege, right? But if white privilege is the fact that people will look at you as a white person and not treat you racistly in the way that we treat a black person, then I think that this argument is both valid and sound. Yes, Jack is disabled, he's homeless, and he's a war veteran, assuming that Jack is a male, because that's a male name. But Jack is white, so therefore Jack has white privilege. So this seems to me to be valid and sound. Let's see what the answers are. 1 and 3 are logically valid, that's what I said. Don't have to be true for the conclusions to logically follow. I should have, yes. Whether the conclusions follow from the given premises, right? From the given premises, most ordinary person's going to not skip over that and not realize how difficult it is for somebody to, or how important those words are, because you say from the given, you just are like, yeah, read these and then give it. But this is incredibly important. This is the entire thing that this exercise revolves around.